Are you in the mood for something spooky? Because I am. Today we are back with 3 true horror stories by Wansee Entertainment. Link in description below. Let's just get straight in. True scary story from... What? Okay, sorry. True scary story from Scandinavia, everybody. Let's get into it.
I'm a fan of your show. This happened to me a few years ago. I'm a guy and I was in my 30s at the time. I live in a Scandinavian country. Back then, I used to go for walks late at night. It was a pretty safe area, or at least it used to be. But things started getting worse. More violent crime, mostly gang-related.
Is that Jelly
Still,
Roll?
if you minded your own business, it wasn't usually a problem. So one night, around midnight, I was out walking. Up ahead, I saw a tall apartment building, and 2 men were pacing back and forth around it. I recognized the building. A retired teacher from my school lived there. She was probably in her 50s by now. It felt a little strange seeing these guys circle the place.
Didn't he just say if you mind your own business, you'll be fine? And now he's getting into trouble?
But I didn't think too much of it. Then I noticed they were acting off. They were standing on their tiptoes, peeking through.
Bro, I've said it so many times. We've dealt with, in these videos, we've dealt with crackheads. We've dealt with predators. We've dealt with thieves, ghosts, very dry feet people. We've dealt with the tickle monster already. What is this peeping Tom really got? I think we got this.
Through windows.
Let's see.
One of them even picked up a stick and walked back across the yard. That's when I realized they were about to break in, and I had just walked into the middle of it.
You can always walk back.
They stopped and turned and stared directly at me. My gut told me to move, fast, so I turned left to get out of there, but the path wasn't great either. It led past a school and an open lawn, totally empty. No people, no cover.
The way they just turn back and look at him. No, I'm I'm out of there. Are you guys confronting them or are you running? Because I'm gone.
I glanced back. At first, the men walked the other way, but when I made the last turn in front of the school, I spotted them again.
What?
Hiding behind a bush, watching me, waiting. There's no way they ended up there by accident. If they weren't planning something, they wouldn't have.
It's one of those pranks where it's quadruplets just messing with you. It's one of those, trust.
Followed me like that. At one point, I was almost home, so I did the only thing I could think of. I took my jacket off and held it up like a decoy. Then, I ran, casually, back to my house.
What is he doing?
Nothing happened. They didn't follow me. But I know I got lucky that night. If I hadn't turned left, if I'd kept walking straight into the dark, they probably would have robbed me. I still go for walks late at night sometimes, but only for 10, maybe 15 minutes. And I always stay close to the buildings, somewhere people can see me, just in case.
Bro, what? Oh, shoot. Is this one actually real? Oh, wait, are they actually all real? Are these Let's see, okay. I'm not reading any of that, not gonna lie. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. That's pretty neat. Interesting. Okay. The Pizza Delivery Man horror story. Let's see.
This happened 5 years ago when I was 15 years old. I was hosting a sleepover during the winter holidays. The weather that day was rainy and thunder was clashing louder than usual. I invited 5 of my closest friends over. Kai.
If you are home alone and you invite your friends over, that's that's actually a good thing you can do, I think. I feel like having your friends over there just eliminates so much potential danger, instantly.
John, Nick, Robin, and Marcus. We had all known each other since we were kids. Robin's uncle Blake also came over to keep an eye on us since my parents were away on vacation.
W's.
They would not be back for a few days. My 2 bulldogs were with me too. Blake was a funny and easygoing guy, but he was no joke. He trained in professional martial arts and even coached MMA fighters. Everyone arrived that afternoon.
We are instantly already like a minute into the scary story animated, and we're already set for like victory here. We got MMA, we got group of guys. We're
But
good.
it was already pretty dark outside. The weather was classic winter with heavy rain and low skies. Blake ordered everyone pizza, and we decided to watch a scary movie. Honestly, it felt like the perfect night for it. The stormy weather set the mood. Halfway through the movie, the doorbell rang. We figured it was the pizza guy, and Blake went to get it. He looked through the peephole and saw the delivery man. He was about 6 foot tall and had a strange, unsettling expression. Blake said the guy gave him a bad feeling right away. He opened the door, and the man handed him the pizza. There were no words, just this long, creepy smile.
Ew, bro,
Blake
what?
paid and shut the door quickly. Later, he told us it was one of the most awkward moments of his life. He just stood there while this guy silently grinned at him. Something about him felt wrong. Still, we brushed it off and continued watching the movie. By the time it ended, it was close to midnight. We all decided to sleep in the same room. It was the large guest room upstairs. Everyone brought their own sleeping bags. I slept on the bed, and so did Nick. The others set up around us on the floor. Blake stayed downstairs, watching his favorite Netflix series on the couch. We stayed up talking for about 30 minutes before finally falling asleep. Then, a shrug on my shoulder. Nick was trying to wake me. His face looked worried. He whispered, "Did you hear that?" There was a knock coming from the window. At first, I thought it was thunder, but then
Bro, what is this? I already got bad vibes. I really got bad vibes. Call Blake up and have him. You know what I mean?
he leaned in and said, "I think someone's trying to get in." My heart started racing.
What?
We stared at the window, frozen. The knocking stopped. Then a dark figure appeared right at the glass. They were wearing a black or gray hoodie. I could not make out the face, just a shape, a shadow, but it was close, too close. Adrenaline kicked in. I jumped out of bed and ran to the window. I locked it fast, just as the figure tried to lift it open. That was when I saw it, a crooked white tooth twisted into a vicious smile, but I still could not get a clear look at the rest of the face. I bolted back across the room and shook everyone awake. Then came
Nah, cause maybe he just wanted to be invited to the sleepover, and you guys were just too greedy, too selfish to even think about this guy's feelings. So, really, who's the bad guy here,
the
right?
knocking again. Louder, meaner. He started yelling something, but the words did not make any sense. It was like my brain could not process them. We ran straight downstairs to wake up Blake. Blake did not hesitate. He grabbed my 2 bulldogs and headed outside. We followed behind him. What we saw was disturbing. There was a ladder leaning against the side of the house. It was positioned right below the bedroom window. The knocking sound had been the ladder tapping against the wall as the man climbed. Blake spotted muddy footprints leading to the backyard. He ran that way. That was when we saw him. The man was crouched under a garden bush trying to hide. Blake charged at him, with the dogs barking beside him. The dogs lunged and bit into the man's hoodie, and Blake punched him hard and
Damn!
fast.
Call the police!
He yelled. We did. It took them a while to arrive because of the storm. When they finally got there, they arrested the man. Then came the part that still haunts me. The officers told us this was not the first time he had done something like this. And Blake? He swore it was the same guy who delivered our pizza earlier that night. Since then, I have never let my guard down, and my dogs, they sleep in my room now, every single night.
Okay, that one wasn't very scary, but that one was enjoyable in my opinion. I liked that one. I liked the idea. Like, that's pretty cool, you know? If it's a true horror story, then obviously not cool. Like, it sucks that happened, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say. It's a W because they had Blake, the MMA fighter, they had the dogs. You know, like, it was just set up for victory, bro. This guy had no chance. What was he doing? Realistically, what was he doing? Unless he actually did get in the window, then that'd be a wrap. Okay, this is number 3, true black magic horror story. Let's see.
Hey Wansee, my name is Becky. I'm from a country in West Africa called Ivory Coast, and I have a scary story that happened to me when I was just 6 years old. Back then, I lived in a small apartment with my parents. It was a quiet building, and I didn't have any friends to play with. There weren't any other kids my age around. So my parents hired a babysitter to take care of me whenever they were busy. One day, I told my babysitter I wanted to play outside the building. She agreed, and we went out together. Right next to our apartment building, there was a small house, made entirely out of wood, and that's where I saw them. A group of kids playing right outside the wooden house. I got excited and asked my babysitter if I could join them. She said yes, so I ran over and started playing with them. They were a bit older than me, and I remember they were all siblings. At some point, the older girl in the group said she had to cook something. I was curious and asked, "Can I help you?" She smiled and said, "Okay." Then she told me to go pick up some small rocks, and some big rocks too. I didn't question it, I just did it. She brought out a big cooking pot and placed it over a fire, and then she began putting the rocks I collected into the pot. At first, I was confused, and I asked myself, what is going on? But I was just a kid. I tried to understand and tried to blend in. She covered the pot and waited. A few minutes later, she opened it again, and that's when I saw it. Inside the pot was rice and meat.
Huh?
Cooked, hot, ready to eat. The same pot that was full of rocks just minutes before. I was shocked, but also amazed. I didn't understand how she had turned rocks into food. I remember thinking it had to be some kind of black magic. Then she invited me to eat with her and her siblings, and I was so close to saying yes. I was young, and I was naive, and the food smelled really good. But right then, my babysitter, who had been sitting a bit further away, noticed what was going on. She ran over and shouted,
Don't eat that food!
She grabbed my hand and pulled me away. We went straight home. She didn't even say anything on the way back. She just looked scared. Now I'm 16, and I still think about that day. What kind of magic did those children...
Whoa, I'm confused, bro. Is the babysitter gonna step in and be like, yo, that was magic. Those were ghosts. It was something. Like what?
use?
What's going on here?
What would have happened if I had eaten that food? Ever since that experience, I don't like eating at other people's houses, because I've seen with my own eyes that not every meal is what it seems.
Bro almost ate some rocks. Bro almost ate some rocks. That second one was good. I like the second one. The first one, kind of crazy. They even put like the map. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neato. That was 3 true horror stories by Wansee Entertainment. Again, link in the description. Check them out. Original creator. They're pretty great. We are still on the journey to find a horror animation that will make me genuinely jump out of this chair. We need something good. We need something scary. Let me know in the comments if you know a scary animation that's worth checking out. Let me know, because we're in need of something. I got chills from like the first episode. We're struggling here a little bit. And that's all right. If you want to follow along this journey, subscribe, notifications. You got that. Thanks for watching.